everyone, welcome back to the course. In this previous lesson, we mastered arrays, how to store and manipulate list of data. But what if you need to represent something more complex, like a person with a name, age, and email, or a product with a title, price, and description? That's where the objects comes in, and they are one of the most important concepts in JavaScript. Today, we are diving into objects, understanding what they are, and exploring two different ways to create them: object literals and object constructors. So let's get started. So what exactly is an object? An object is a collection of related data and functionality. Unlike arrays that store ordered list of values, objects store data as a key value pairs. Think of it like a real world object. A car has a properties like color, brand, and model. In JavaScript, we can represent that car as an object. So here is the syntax. Let me break this down. We use the curly braces to define an object. Inside, we have a property. Each property has a key like a name and a value like a John. Properties are separated by commas, and key value pair are connected with a clone, right? This is called an object literal, the most common and straightforward way to create object. You might be wondering why not just use a separate variables, then why we use the object, right? Actually, separate variable we already know this variable, right? Well, object keep related data organized and grouped together. Imagine you are building an app with hundreds of users. Managing separate value would be a nightmare. With object, everything related to one person stay together in one place. Plus, object can hold any data type: string, number, booleans, arrays, even other object and functions. They are incredibly flexible. Okay, so the question is object literal, the standard. Actually, there is two methods: object literal and the object constructor. So let's start with the object literal first. This is how you will create objects 95% of the time. 95% you are using these types of object. Okay, this is really straightforward, and we are used to it. We already see this similar pattern previously. This is simple, clean, and readable. You can create an object and populate it with data all at once, right? You can also create an empty object and add properties later. You can also do that if you want, right? And the book, this is an empty object. Object literal are fast, efficient, and the preferred method in modern JavaScript. They are perfect for creating single object with a specific data type. Okay, and that's why most of the use case we are using this object literal. Okay, now object construction. Okay, let's talk about this object constructor. This is an older way to create objects, but you might see it in legacy code. So it's important to understand. Actually, this is the syntax: new object, then dot name, dot age, dot measure. Yeah. If you are notice the difference, we use new object, right, to create a empty object. Then we add properties one by one using the dot notation, and it's more verbose and it takes more line of code. You can also pass an object literal to the object constructor, but that's redundant. Okay, but honestly, there is no good reason to do this, right? Just use an object literal instead. Okay, now literal versus constructor, which one to use? So which should you use? Always prefer the object literal unless you have a very specific reason not to, right? Here is why: cleaner syntax, fewer characters, easier to read, right? Faster execution. Literal are slightly faster than constructors. Industry standard. This is what you will see in modern code base. Less error free, and you need to remember the new keyword. Okay, and this is actually less error free. The object constructor is mostly a rely for older JavaScript. You will need it in modern development. So here is the actual comparison. This is the modern way, right? And this is the older way. Both create the same result, but literal is clearly better, right? This is clearly better than this one. Okay, now let's look at some real world example to solidify the concept. we already see lots of object previously, like user profile. Previous user profile we already seen it, but again, I just showing you the example again, so it would be helpful for you for remembering this and for deeply understanding. You see, this is an object for user, per user. This is the console log, right? Also, for the e-commerce, use this, and this is okay. Great. The product ID, title, price, in stock, and rating. Another is blog post. We already know the blog post how they show, but we don't know how they structure, right? And this is the actually structure code per item, per blog post item. I mean per blog post. Okay. These examples show how objects naturally represent the real world entities. Okay. Each property describes an attribute of that entity. Now, object can hold anything. Here is something powerful. Object can contain any data type, including arrays and even the other object. It's really, really powerful. This is an object, right? One object. In this object, you get an array for department. Again, also here is a object, another object. And you see string, number, all are in together. This is the nested capability makes object incredibly powerful for the representing complex data structure. Okay, great. Now, let's wrap up. Today, what we learned? We learned what objects are and why they are essential, how to create object using the object literals, the modern way, preferred, actually this is a preferred way, and standard enterprise, actually this is the standard method. How to create object using the object constructor, the old school method, and why you should stick with the object literal in your code. Objects are backbone of JavaScript. They are everywhere, from simple configurations to complex applications. Mastering them is non-negotiable if you want to become a proficient JavaScript developer. Okay, in the next lesson, we will learn how to access and set object properties, how to read data from object and modify them dynamically. This is why objects really start to shine. Okay, if you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe for more JavaScript content. Drop a comment if you have questions, and I will see you in the next video.